50 years. That's how long Sheikh Hasina has walked a path marked by both tragedy and resilience. From surviving one of the history's bloodiest coups to leading one of South Asia's fastest growing economy, her journey tells the story of a woman who refused to be erased by history until history finally turned against her. This is not just the tale of a politician, it is the story of a survivor, a democrat, and a fallen leader now branded a fugitive, all wrapped into one extraordinary half a century. It was July 1975 when Sheikh Hasina waved goodbye to her family at the Dhaka airport. Her husband had a job waiting in Germany, a physicist's quiet life thousands of miles away from the violent throes of post-independence Bangladesh. She had no idea she was saying her final goodbye to the family. A fortnight later, while Hasina was in Germany, the unthinkable happened. On August 15, 1975, Bangladesh Army personnel stormed the house of Sheikh Mujibur Rehman, the nation's founding father and Hasina's father. By dawn, 36 people lay dead, including her father, mother, 3 brothers, 2 sister-in-laws, and many others. Hasina learned of the slaughter while abroad, receiving news so devastating that it would reshape not just her life, but the trajectory of an entire nation. She was alive only because geography had saved her. For the next 6 years, Sheikh Hasina lived in Delhi under an amused identity, a secret resident of Pandara Road, unable to use her own name. India under Prime Minister Indira Gandhi extended shelter and security to the daughter of Bangladesh's murdered founding father. But exile couldn't contain her fire. In 1981, Hasina returned to her ravaged homeland and was elected as the president of the Awami League. In her absence, a party in exile had chosen her as their leader. The military regime that had murdered her family still ruled Bangladesh. She was detained repeatedly throughout the 1980s, placed under house arrest, yet she persisted. When she organized demonstrations against military rule, assassins tried to claim her life. A grenade attack in broad daylight, an open fire ambush at her meeting, a hidden bomb discovered only by chance. Each time, she survived. In fact, in December 1990, she helped topple the military dictatorship of General Hussein Muhammad Irshad, restoring democracy to Bangladesh. 6 years later, in 1996, Sheikh Hasina became Prime Minister for the very first time. Over nearly 2 decades in power, split across separate terms, Sheikh Hasina transformed Bangladesh. She brokered historic peace accords like the Chittagong Hill Tract Settlement. She inked the Ganges Water Treaty with India, transforming Delhi-Dhaka relations into what many called a golden era. When she returned to power in 2009 with a landslide victory, she unleashed unprecedented growth. Bangladesh's GDP expanded 450% over 15 years. Electricity access expanded dramatically, education flourished. Millions lifted themselves out of the poverty. By 2023, she had become the longest-serving Prime Minister of Bangladesh since independence. Well, the final chapter of Sheikh Hasina's rule unfolded amid an unprecedented wave of student-led protest known as the July Revolution. The movement began as a peaceful demonstration against job quotas. Public university students in Dhaka and across the country began mobilizing in early July 2024, joined quickly by private university students whose presence swelled demonstrations in the capital and multi-other cities. By mid-July, police crackdowns turned violent as law enforcement fired rubber bullets, tear gas, and increasingly live rounds into the crowds of protesting youth. On August 4, civil disobedience gripped the capital, culminating in mass gathering at the Shahbag intersection and outside Supreme Court premises, where students, lawyers, and civil society united demanding Hasina's resignation. In chaos that consumed Dhaka on August 5th, Sheikh Hasina fled to India as demonstrators marched towards her residence. And now comes the month of November in 2025. On November 17, 2025, the International Crimes Tribunal sentenced her to death for crimes against humanity. She called it rigged and politically motivated. Well, the woman who survived the massacre that claimed her entire family now faces death by law. 50 years after escaping the midnight murders, Sheikh Hasina, the survivor, the Democrat, the fallen leader, stands condemned by the very nation she once transformed.